Senator Kennedy?
I want extra time, Mr. Chairman.
I know, sir. I know.
Consider these 5 minutes a parliamentary inquiry. Professor, what's a sock puppet?
I heard the reference from Senator Warren.
Yeah,
earlier.
what is it?
I'm not sure I know. I think
Okay.
it's that thing you stick your hand in.
Yeah, kind of like this.
Yes.
What's a human sock puppet? Isn't a human sock puppet somebody will do what somebody else tells them to do?
I think that's what the senator was trying to suggest. I
Are you
think that
going
was
to
the
be
innuendo.
Are you going to be the president's human sock puppet?
Senator, absolutely not.
Are you going to be anybody's human sock puppet?
No, I'm honored the president nominated me for the position, and I'll be an independent actor if confirmed as chairman of the Federal Reserve.
If you've ever wondered what happens when the absolute power of the Federal Reserve meets the raw, unyielding pressure of American politics, you're looking at it. It's 2026, and we are witnessing a confirmation hearing that feels more like an interrogation of the soul than a policy discussion. You see, the Federal Reserve is the one institution that can effectively make or break an administration's legacy overnight with a single decimal point change in interest rates. Take a look at this exchange between Senator John Kennedy and the president's nominee for Federal Reserve Chairman. Kennedy, in his classic style, half folksy storyteller, half prosecutor, begins by asking a question that sounds ridiculous but is actually deadly serious. What's a human sock puppet? It sounds like a joke, but the subtext is heavy. He's referencing Senator Elizabeth Warren's insinuation that this nominee is merely a vessel for the president's personal economic whims. The nominee's body language here is a study in stoicism. He's sitting upright, hands likely folded, projecting the independence that the Fed's reputation is built upon. He flatly rejects the label, asserting he will be an independent actor. But Kennedy doesn't let up. He pivots to a very specific, very modern concern: the conflict between private wealth and public duty. The Ethics Office has ordered the nominee to sell off assets. Kennedy's phrasing, "You can't just hold a yard sale," highlights the complexity of a 2026 economic leader who likely comes from the very markets they are now tasked with regulating. Before we get into the scooter comment and the massive debate over whether artificial intelligence is actually fixing inflation or if it's just a bunch of hype, I have a quick request. If you want to keep receiving these professional deep dives into the daily news that shapes the global economy, hit that subscribe button right now.
My friend Senator Warren, and she, as my friend, suggested that, I wrote it down, you will use your power, you might use your power to bail out your friends if they get in trouble, kind of like President Biden did with Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. She didn't say the last part, I just did. Are you going to do that?
No, Senator.
Okay. The ethics folks, they've cleared you, but they've said you got to sell some assets. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And these assets that you have, you can't just hold a yard sale, can you?
No, not for most of them, sir.
Okay, so it takes a reasonable period of time, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've promised to sell them, right?
I did.
And if you don't sell them, we'll know, and the ethics folks will know, right?
Yes, I'd be in violation of the ethics agreement if I refused to sell them.
But you're going to sell them, right?
Yes, Senator, I will.
Okay. Can we agree that politicians have the right to offer you advice about what to do with interest rates?
Senator, we can agree, and it's not something that I would shy away from. I've heard many senators from this very committee in years past express strong views on interest rates.
Okay.
Humble central bankers should be listening and then making their own decisions.
But some politicians matter more than others. And generally speaking, presidents matter, their opinion matters more than, say, a senator. President Trump has offered his opinion about what you ought to do with interest rates. Is that right?
Senator, he has not made his opinion on that a secret to anybody.
Yeah. And every president has, that you're aware of.
Yes, they all tend to be in the same direction, Senator Kennedy.
Okay. Now, the problem is, can we agree that your credibility as Fed chairman is the most important thing you have?
It's the most important thing to me, it's the most important thing to the institution, and it's the most important thing to the successful conduct of policy.
Okay,
If the markets
that's a
think that-
yes, right?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. The problem is that President Trump has said he's not going to appoint anybody who wouldn't agree to lower interest rates. Have you agreed with the president that you're going to lower interest rates?
Senator, I'm glad you framed it that way. The president never asked me to predetermine, commit, fix, decide on any interest rate decision in any of our discussions, nor would I ever agree to do so.
So the president has never sat you down, looked you in the eye, and said, here's the deal, Scooter, I'm going to appoint you, but you got to agree to lower interest rates. That didn't happen or did happen?
The president never once asked me to commit to any particular interest rate decision, period.
Now, let's talk about the president. Kennedy points out that the president hasn't been shy about his desire for lower interest rates. He asks the nominee point blank, did the president sit you down, look you in the eye, and say, here's the deal, Scooter, you got to agree to lower interest rates? It's a vivid image designed to test the nominee's credibility, which they both agree is the Fed's most important asset. The nominee's response is firm. The president never asked for a commitment, never asked for a predetermined fix. He frames the president's public pressure as nothing more than a historical norm, noting that every president in history has wanted lower rates. But the real analyst moment comes at the end of the transcript. Kennedy challenges the nominee's recent arguments that artificial intelligence has made labor so productive that companies don't need to raise prices. This is the AI disruption narrative of 2026. Kennedy calls it out as potentially being a bunch of hype by people who want to sell stock in an IPO. As a news analyst, I find this fascinating. We are at a crossroads where the Fed is trying to justify rate cuts by pointing to a technological revolution that might still be more theoretical than practical. If the Fed cuts rates based on AI productivity and that productivity doesn't materialize, we could be looking at an inflationary spike that makes the early 2020s look like a walk in the park.
And nor would I ever agree to do so if he had, but he never did. I was honored he nominated me. Like everyone else in the committee in the world, I've heard his view on interest rates. It sounded very similar to me to every other president in economic history that I've studied.
Okay. I've got one more question because I'm about to run out of my parliamentary inquiry time. I've heard your argument the last few months about artificial intelligence has made us so productive, labor so productive that companies don't have to raise prices. Therefore, inflation isn't a problem. Therefore, rates can be cut. Do you really believe that right now?
No, that is not how I would characterize the story on AI.
Okay, but you've said what I just said, haven't you?
I have said that this is the most disruptive moment in modern economic history in the U.S. and the world. I've said that artificial intelligence, AI, short for
let
American
me stop you because the chair's going to cut me off.
Oops, sorry.
Here's my worry, that a lot of this stuff about artificial intelligence making us more productive is a bunch of hype by people who want to sell stock in an IPO. Okay, I'd be careful there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll get to my 5 minutes in a little bit.
So you come back about midnight, sir, and we'll go ahead and start all over again. Brand new day, sir. Brand new day. Thank you for your patience.
The nominee tries to characterize the AI moment as the most disruptive in modern economic history. But Kennedy's skepticism reflects a growing sentiment in D.C. that we are betting the farm on a silicon-based miracle that hasn't quite shown up in the middle-class paycheck yet. Kennedy's final quip about a brand new day at midnight sums up the exhaustion of the 2026 political cycle. These hearings are marathons and the stakes couldn't be higher. We're not just talking about interest rates. We're talking about whether the Federal Reserve remains a shield against political mania or becomes just another human sock puppet in the executive branch's toolkit. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it now. We're going to be monitoring the Fed's first meeting after this confirmation very closely to see if those AI-driven rate cuts actually happen. You won't get this level of breakdown anywhere else. Hit subscribe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next report.